cracked fist of the North Star. Hi! This is El Viejo Toro in the beautiful Zen Studios. And this is my what could have been with Mass Effect 4. As you know, I released a very popular video, the boycott of BioWare, for mixing politics and game development. And, you know, it's just a whole hellacious mess. And although there are people that appreciate the game, there is so much janky about this thing, the whole thing, and you know, whether it's by design or by accident or whatever, it's irrelevant. But you know what I kept thinking about while I was making that video, and I'm actually playing through Mass Effect 3, or I'm sorry, Mass Effect 2 on Steam. I have Mass Effect 3, well, I have 2 for, like, you know, all the major systems, and including PC, and I'm playing it on Steam right now. And Mass Effect 3, same thing. I've got it on Origin. I've also got it on the other platforms. You know. But when I'm playing through 2, I'm reminded of all the interrupted storylines between. And you know, I think the biggest flaw. I just got done riding a bike around my neighborhood. It's beautiful in Tampa Bay right now. It's like 78 degrees. We just had like a rainstorm roll through. It is like super cool and breezy and just gorgeous out there. And I'm like, I'm taking my bike out, and I rode my bike around. Believe it, man, I exercise. So, I think the biggest fail of Andromeda is the entire thing, the entire storyline. 600 years in the future? I mean, you go to the trouble of creating these characters and they populate a trilogy of games, which means success. People like them. They keep making more and more money as they went on, and now Andromeda is looking like it's going to make Mass Effect 1 money, and that was a new franchise. So the big fail is all of these characters and stories are just hacked off. Like when they killed off Shepard, I'm like, I'm sorry, one of the most popular protagonists, male or female, in video games. Again, you know, you talk about female protagonists. Female Shepard was huge. Huge. I mean, you're talking a military commander, a ship commander, a squad commander. I mean, what do you want? I mean, I don't know what to say. So it's like, I was thinking about, you know, mainly during, in Mass Effect 2, you know, Tali Zora's brought up on charges, you know, on those charges with the fleet, and then this whole thing, you know, the whole thing of the Mass Effect 3, where you've got that, and I played it, you know, until I could get like everybody happy on that one, but and I played it both ways. I let Tali go. Because ethically I could not side with her people. They were just too militaristic. But you know, I romanced Tali Zora in that playthrough. And then I, you know, sabotaged the Geth, and then I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to do what I have to do to make sure everybody's okay. Whatever happened with that story? They're going to populate the home world. Her dad built her a house and all this stuff, and you have this poignant moment with her on their planet. And I mean, what happens there? I want to propose, and there's so much more. There's so much more. You know, Miranda. You know, she's a long-lived. Maybe there's another Miranda out there. Maybe there's a clone Miranda. She's a clone. She's a bioengineered person. Maybe she could come back around. Here's my storyline. Okay, before this gets too ranty, it's too late for that, isn't it? What about Shepard becomes the villain in Mass Effect 4? You can write it through because Mass Effect 3's ending was so bad, he can survive in some way. Maybe it's the Geth, maybe it's surviving collectors, whatever. Because he was part cybernetic to begin with when he was resurrected by Cerberus. bring him back as and there's all this fan theory about indoctrination, which has a lot of credibility in the storyline. They leave breadcrumbs all over the place in regards to indoctrination. Everybody else is getting indoctrinated at the drop of a hat. He could have been the ultimate sleeper. And then they trigger him and he becomes, 20 years later, think about it, just take it 20 years down the road. And you've got the genophage cured. What happens to them? What happens to the Krogan? All of these places that you visit, you barely scratch the surface of Tuchanka and its culture. You barely scratch the surface with the story of the Geth and the Quarians. You barely scratch the surface on all of these. There's so many loose ends. There's so many, plot devices that are just left hanging. And 600 years and now we're going to another galaxy and whatever, dude. It's like that's 50% of the fail, or if not 100% of the fail, because the foundation is bad. So you have this successful trilogy. Even if Shepard never comes back, what about the other characters? What about the N7 program? There are no other people in the N7 program. It was like the Navy SEALs. That's where they got the model, is from the Navy SEALs. It's a highly specialized, specially trained group of individuals that have singled themselves out with excellence in fighting prowess and or technical knowledge, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just the Ubermensch, the Superman, or the Superwoman. Okay, N7. There's not another. Again, we barely learn about the N. They touch on the N7. They use the logo everywhere, but they barely talk about it. Legion. Oh, he's got a piece of N7 armor. I hope he's registered for that. I'm like, you hear about N7 in the first one more than you do any of the other ones. He's just kind of like, oh yeah, N7. N7's kind of like the hidden thing of the game. There's nobody else in N7 that can step up if you kill off Shepard. And 20 years later, you're going back and you're visiting all of these characters. Jacob can't step up into that? What about, this is what really got me. The Ardot Yakshi. If I'm saying it right. Okay, the Justicars, which is, part of the playthrough for 2, of the Asari. What a wonderful glimpse of the culture. And it's a vampire analog. It's just, whatever. You do an Ardot Yakshi, in 3 thing. But man, what a storyline. What if you get an Ardot Yakshi on your team and secret, and you have to keep her constantly under wraps because if the Asari find out, you're going down, they're going to send a command squad after you. What a wonderful thing. Some on the run Ardot Yakshi. Bring her in. She doesn't, this time she doesn't eat you. So, I'm just saying, the amount of story that was left unexplored in that very popular lore. Think about the trailer. 20 years later, a new hero from the N7 program emerges. Because there's a gap there. Shepard's gone. The leadership vacuum needs to be filled. So one of his old crew, or maybe it's one of the first aliens allowed into the N7. Remember how Shepard was one of the first humans allowed into the Spectre program? Switch it up and say the very first alien allowed into the N7 program. Make it an Asari Commando. You want to talk about a female protagonist? There you go. An Asari Commando that's invited into the N7 program becomes the new Shepard. Think about that. Think about that. I mean, so many things. 20 years later, you pick up with Miranda, you pick up with Chuchanka, you pick up with Samara, you pick up with whoever it is. You pick up with Jacob. Where's he at? You know, I mean, it's like, you haven't done any of these characters. You've done them justice, BioWare, in the past. But to abandon that whole mythos, you literally just said, hey, Greek mythology, we're going to go with Disney mythology, okay? You know, it's like Mickey Mouse is the new Zeus. It's like, come on, man. You know, you have this beautiful, beautiful world to work with. We would have been so excited. That game would have been monster if you took it 20 years after the events of Mass Effect 3. And the elusive man, who was mostly machine at that point, he was practically a husk, okay? But some way, the elusive man and Shepard have been indoctrinated, and they have survived the cataclysm, and they are now the agents of destruction in the galaxy. And you can keep it a secret all the way up to a certain point, have the dramatic reveals, see if you can, again, one of the ones where it was an either or, where you had the Tali or Legion, either or. You can have it where we save Shepard's humanity or we don't. I mean, so many things. Or maybe the actions you take require him to lose a certain amount of humanity to the point where he's unrecoverable and has to be destroyed or absorbed or what is that thing when you not compromise, but you co-opt, right? Or have them co-opt. Let those wonderful villains, potential. Let the one hero and the one villain are now working together, and they have to be sought out because they want to bring it all back. They want to bring that power back, but in another form. Don't have it till they just bring back the same thing. But they're looking for control. They're looking for control and domination and power. And those type of things, which even in his most angelic, Shepard was about power or authority or strength. So, I mean, I could see how he could be easily co-opted into a program like that, like he was with Cerberus. So many plot lines. 20 years after the Quarians have resettled their homeworld and are cooperating with the Geth, what does that look like? What does that look like? Do they cohabitate? If you went to their capital city on that planet, or the main settlement there, are they working together? Partners again? There was a whole storyline with the sun that, the sun was, dark energy was affecting the sun on that one you rescue Tali mission. Maybe there's something going on with the stars. Maybe there's another influence. Maybe the elusive man is at the heart of that. Or maybe it's Dark Shepard. Evil Shepard. Maybe their number one enemy, they took, co-opted, and put him out there to destabilize the rest of the galaxy. So, I mean, imagine a reveal like that. Imagine a reveal like that. The N7, another N7 rises. I mean, that is like the key brand that everybody wears, but they hardly explore in the game. Because it's cool. It's a cool logo. I like it. So it's like, what else could have been done there? What else could have been done there? The rebuilding of Earth. There's a whole other, the technology's moved on. So now, and again, they destroyed the relays. So what other technology has stepped up to take its place. Maybe there's Birkeland currents between the suns that we use for transportation now in lieu, because that's now our technology. We use the natural Birkeland currents between the stars to travel from system to system, and something is affecting the stars. And we're losing ships, or we need to rescue ships, or... God, I mean, I just can't... The heretics, heretic Geth, I mean, I could write the script standing on my head based on what's already been done by extremely talented people. That would be better than what's going on here. We really want to distance ourselves. You know, sometimes I get the feeling, and this is not my most generous thoughts, because I think most, I don't know. I think Shepard is an excellent character as a man or a woman. But why did they want to distance themselves from Shepard so badly at the end of 3? Why did they want to do that? Why did they want to take this cast of characters, some of whom were part of all 3 trilogies, and just erase them? That's what it was. It was an erasure of their own lore, with nary a connection to what's going on now. I'm not connected to Andromeda. I don't care. And then the goofiness, the goofy development on that, and then the political platform that it became. I mean, I'm just like, but I think at the core of it, that's where I thought it was funny. At the core of it is all of these game characters, universe, everything that I enjoyed in the original Mass Effect series, where they were so good to keep everything connected. It's one of the few games that does that. That's why BioWare was so impressive to me. What other game series do you take a character from the original one, data from the original character, and keep it for 2 other full-blown games? I'm like, I saw BioWare as the future. I'm like, this is the future of gaming, where it's a connected story, where you never really leave it. You just continue on to another chapter. You carry over the data. You not all of it. You just continue continuity. Do you understand what that word means, BioWare? You invented it practically in video games. You're not the first one, but you're somebody that did it on a scale like never before. Gaming continuity for sequels, and then you just chopped that limb off and said, bleed out, we're going over here. Furious about that, man. I'm not furious, I'm just aghast. I'm just aghast at that. I'm just like, oh my God, you had all of this creative capital built up. Comic books, merchandise, continuity in a game, all 3 series, huge amount of goodwill, and you literally flushed it down the crapper. You literally just said all of that goodwill, millions of dollars that we've invested in these characters and their development and their voice actors and everything else. And again, you can do something like if the voice actors and the talent are trying to bleed you for too much development money, there are ways around that you can keep the talent and or introduce some new talent. There are ways to negotiate around that. It was totally doable. 20 years from the event of Mass Effect 3. What happened to Earth? What happened during the rebuild? What happened to replace the Mass Effect relays? What the hell happened, BioWare? We don't know. We're going to have to write it ourselves now. We're going to have to write it ourselves. I'm going to have to write a fan fiction now. Mass Effect. N7 Rises. All right. Way too long. This is a total emotional rant. I like to apologize just in general for my complete lack of restraint in terms of my feelings on this video. But I'm playing through the game right now. I'm playing through 2 right now. And it all bubbled up, and after my first video, I'm like, you know what the real, what I haven't even talked about is what happened after Mass Effect 3. 600 years? Good Lord, man. Human beings wouldn't even look the same, obviously. That's why they jacked up the faces. It's evolution, baby. That being said, this is El Viejo Toro Fancy Action Now, the beautiful Zen Studios, Tampa Bay, 78 degrees. Peace out. The 100 cracked fist of the North Star.